everyone and welcome to Weekly Imogen. I am finally back. I've been on holiday for the summer. It's been wonderful, but I've missed you all, so I'm glad to bring you another video. Today I wanted to speak about using cinematic photography. Now, cinematic photography in itself isn't a specific genre. There's nothing technical about creating a cinematic photo. However, it's the overall mood of the piece, the lighting you use, and creating this wonderful sense of character and story. I think it's so wonderful and creates some of my favourite photos to look at because you get this almost sense that it's a still taken from a film. So rather than having anything technical you can do, it's just setting up this sense of story. It's so dynamic because you've created a static image that really tells a massive tale, and the viewer gets dragged in and creates all these stories of their own. The first photos that I wanted to share with you are two really dramatic ones that we took at my old university. As you can see here, the real thing that jumps out straight away is the use of light and shadow. You can see there's this really harsh light creating really strong lines and a story of its own. In the first picture, you can see that the shadow quite literally cuts my face in half, and I think this is very interesting because it's perhaps something you wouldn't normally do in a portrait photo, but for a cinematic picture, it really helps to create this sense of depth and story. As I'm wearing a beige coat and the wall itself is beige as well, it really means that the green of my eye pops out and you get drawn in and you start to discover in yourself why the shadow's there, to question what the shadow is for. The next photo was taken in the same location and once again uses this really harsh light. Here, rather than being closer up, you can see more of my body and it really does create a wonderful story. I really love this picture. I love the way that my shadow is kind of looking away as well as me. I think a really interesting thing to think about in cinematic photography is where the model's gaze is. As you can see in the first one, it creates this wonderful cinematic effect by me staring right into the camera with a harsh face and this harsh light. In this one, I think it creates a wonderful sense of story by the way that I'm looking away. It really begs for the viewer to question what I'm looking towards and what has happened before. The next two photos I wanted to share with you are ones which I would say are my all-time favourites, so I really hope you love them too. I think these pictures are so cinematic. You may have heard us talking about them before because they are ones that we are just incredibly proud of, but we got very lucky with these shots. We were in a museum and we were there early morning and we just happened to get to the cafe at a point where no one else was sitting along with these tables. And I think if there are moments like that, of course they can't be planned, but you really need to jump on them straight away, change any plans you've got for the shoot and really go with it. I think these particularly really look like they could have just been taken out of an arty film, and I think they create such a wonderful story. As you can see in the first one again, my gaze is straight at the camera, whereas the second I'm looking down, and they really do tell different stories with that confrontational looking at the camera compared to the looking away. And we've got a story here with the bells this morning, which are sounding wonderful and chiming for the early morning. So you can see in these, the story there is why I'm sitting in this cafe with all these rows of tables all alone. What's happened to everyone else? Where am I? So I think that these kind of pictures where you jump on chances like that can create such a cinematic image. The next photo I want to share with you is one that I think is particularly beautiful that we took when I was a lot younger in our local woodland. As you can see here, there's quite a short depth of field. There's a wonderful hazy blur in the background and I really pop out. One of the things that makes this picture so cinematic is the use of shadow and darkness, and I think this is a really useful tool if you're trying to make a cinematic picture. Whereas often photographers will use reflectors or fill-in flash, Mark quite often, as a kind of signature thing, doesn't and really uses the shadow to tell a story. As you can see here, it is the darkness itself which really draws you in and helps to tell the story of the picture. The next two images are really wonderful and tell really great stories. They're so moody and dramatic and really draw you in and make you question what's happening. As I've said before with the gaze, these ones really work in telling a cinematic story in the sense that I'm not looking at the camera. It really does make the viewer think about what's happening, and I think it can help to create a wonderful mood when you do this. Both of these pictures have got wonderful lighting, and this was real fluke of using natural light, and you do get these wonderful signature moments with natural lighting where you can get the perfect shot. As you can see here, there's quite a surreal feel to the way the light is. We're not quite sure what it's done. It's just one of those natural, wonderful things that really makes a kind of amazing feel to these pictures beyond the way it's been set up. As you can see in the first one, there's this wonderful colour matching with the green, and the way I'm staring away and my skin looks so pale and porcelain helps to really draw you in, and I think it has a really cinematic feel. The next photo was taken at a train station, and I think street shots and station shots are really great ones for creating a cinematic picture. It's the kind of place where often stories and people and meetings can take place. People can go and come, and there's new journeys to be had, and I think stations are wonderful places to create a cinematic picture. This photo is actually one of my mother's favourites. She really adores it. She thinks it really captures my character, and I think it is the way the arms are folded and the way I'm looking to the side that helps to create such a wonderful story here. The final two photos I wanted to show you are truly very cinematic. They're perfect examples of this genre of photography. As you can see here, we've used the element of gazing away that really draws the viewer in and makes them bring a story to the image. There's a lot of shadow used here. It creates that sense of mood and darkness. And I think the one thing that really helps to bring a story out of this is the use of windows. I think this is a wonderful way to make a cinematic shot that almost feels like a clip from a movie. The great thing about using windows and having the subject gazing out of them is it really draws the viewer out with them, out through the window. You get the feeling of the model and the subject being boxed in and longing for something that's outside, and I think this really draws out this sense of a cinematic picture. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learnt some tips about cinematic photos or just enjoyed looking at the images. I'd love to find out about any cinematic photos you've taken, or maybe your favourite picture from a film that really could be a wonderful cinematic photo. Please do like and share this video because sharing is caring, and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. Bye!